7. And we make up Elite Gamer 7. And this is our first episode of our Streamcast. Everybody, welcome to the show. So today we're going to be talking about a lot of different topics. I guess just real quickly, a little background about ourselves. For me, gamer for like the last 20 years. Not a pro player, just a casual gamer that's good at not every game, but a lot of games. And my man over here.
So yeah, same thing. I mean, I've been playing ever since Nintendo came out. You know what I mean? And I guess in the past few years, I've been getting back into gaming more. I guess I kind of lost touch on how much I loved it. But when you get around people that are passionate about stuff, and Sheldon is definitely way more passionate about gaming than I was, that it kind of rubs off, and it makes you realize how much you like it so much. So for the last 2 or 3 years, I can say I definitely become a gamer for sure. And then there's a lot of more interest that branched off of that. You know what I mean?
Okay, cool. Let me get my glasses over there real quick. Sorry. Hey guys, this is our first show. So you guys that hopefully you start following us, you'll get to see the product get better and better and better. Like case in point, I'll have my glasses on before we start. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. So let's get it started today then, man. We got a few topics that we want to talk to everybody about and give our 2 cents on, and hopefully you guys like what we have to say. So, hey, we're sports fans. You know what I'm saying? So, what's good about talking about video games if we don't talk a little bit about sports? So, for the first topic, UFC, I'm going to refer to my man here, Styles. He's the UFC aficionado, whereas I'm the casual fan. So, what do we got going on in UFC, man?
The UFC right now is such a great place. I'm so excited. Things are happening that I never thought would ever happen in the sport. One of them being Conor McGregor. He just knocked out Jose Aldo out in the most amazing fashion I've ever seen. We're talking. And
I watched that fight with you, man. I watched that. That fight. We were so hyped for that. So break down real quickly for people out there who don't know what this night was culminating up to and what your initial thoughts were when you actually saw that happen.
All right. So this night was built up for the last 2 years. Conor McGregor came on the scene, just talking crap, talking about being Mystic Mac, calling out rounds, telling he was going to knock people out the first round, second round, and actually going out and doing it. Now, when I say knocking people out, I'm not talking about just regular people you meet on the street. I'm talking about world-class athletes that fight for a living. And then he was going up against Jose Aldo, who was the first featherweight champion the UFC's ever seen. He's held the belt for 10 years, defended it for the whole time that he's had it. And that was the clash that they were going to. They were supposed to fight last year, but because of a rib injury, Jose had to pull up for the fight. So this year they fought. And the fight that has been built up for 2 years actually ended in 13 seconds, which is a UFC record. It's the fastest knockout that the UFC's ever had in the history of fighting. It even beat Ronda Rousey's records. So to see that it happen as quickly as it did is amazing, and it did. It was kind of disappointing, but the same thing, what it did for the sport was epic. And why was it epic is because now that Conor McGregor is the featherweight champion, what he can do is he's challenging now for the lightweight champion, which now is Dos Santos, which is going to be a hell of a fight on mid-March 5th.
Now, for those who don't know about Dos Santos, now on this show, man, this cast, we're gonna keep it real. I'm the casual UFC guy. I'm the guy that is not really paying attention, won't really watch any free shows. But I know that my man here likes it, and when I do watch it, I just want to watch the big mega fights. I don't really get into the whole minutia of the rank structure. So please, I've heard nothing about Dos Santos. Let everybody know what's going on.
All right, Dos
Santos
is a beast.
Why is he a champion?
Why is he a champion? Because he is a nightmare for any style of fighter. You have the jiu-jitsu, you have the wrestler, you have the striker. He is a master of all of those things. If they said that Chad Mendes was Conor McGregor's worst matchup, if they could write a restatement.
Now I saw that fight.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, that was a heck of a matchup. And just for the record, what was his name again?
Chad Mendes.
Mendes. He kind of took that fight kind of early, right?
Yeah,
he wasn't supposed to.
He only had 2 weeks to train for that fight, and he came out. he still put out a mega performance. He held him down. His ground and pound was vicious. I don't know why he gave up on it. A lot of people say, critics and fans say that, if he'd have stuck to that plan for the whole, 5 rounds of that fight, then we wouldn't be saying that Conor McGregor's a champion right now. But that wasn't the case. The problem is a person that's stronger, that will stick to the game plan, and that is capable of doing the same thing, if not worse, and is 10 pounds heavier, is Dos Santos. And he is equally as a dangerous striker as Conor McGregor. That's what makes this fight so exciting. And plus, Conor McGregor is stepping up in weight class. He's not fighting another. So there's that question, is his power going to transfer to that 155? We won't know until the fight happens. All we know that so far, what's been said is that he's definitely going to be having the fight on March 5th if they can come to money agreements.
Okay.
And that if it does go down, it's probably going to be one of the biggest fights UFC's ever seen, considering it's also been put on the same card as the Holly Holmes fight with Miesha Tate. And Miesha Tate, I mean, not many people know about Holly Holmes. And this is another thing. It's a little off topic, but it should be mentioned for people that are UFC fans. The rating system for the UFC is so off that it doesn't make any sense. I mean, when you look at where Holly Holmes was ranked when she fought Ronda Rousey, there's no way, though, that she should have won that fight. But now that she's on top of the belt, Miesha Tate now, who I think arguably is the third best ranked wrestler, behind Ronda Rousey and stuff, only because she's beaten Ronda Rousey in 2 different occasions. But I think if there's anyone that can challenge Holly Holmes, who's going to go in there and just say I would say, as far as stylistically, she's a Ronda Rousey. She's just not as polished on the ground with her jiu-jitsu. She's a great striker. And she is going to give Holly Holmes a fight for the title that she has, rightfully so. And I'm glad to see that this fight's happening before the Ronda Rousey fight. And the only reason I say that is because everyone that, they don't know, but people that do know, for the ESPN interview that she gave, she mentioned that she's going to go after Holly Holmes again, and if she doesn't beat Holly Holmes, then she's going to actually retire. Now, the reason why that's scary is because originally...
Who's this now?
This is Ronda Rousey.
Wow, okay, so we get to the Ronda Rousey retirement.
Yeah.
I'll piggyback off of something when you're finished with your thought there.
Yeah,
okay,
so basically the thing that was exciting about that is that when she said that, I thought that it was just going to be Dana White, who's a president, plus promoter, plus judge and execution. He's everything.
He's everything right there.
Yeah, he's everything.
He's the one that brought the sport from nothing to where people laughed at him to listen, I'm an ESPN guy. UFC is regularly talked about on ESPN.
It's true.
And not just when there's a big fight.
It's true.
It's actually now reached across on ESPN podcasts that I listen to. The main guys who talk about football and baseball and basketball, LeBron and Peyton Manning, and now we got Holly Holmes, Ronda Rousey, and Conor McGregor. And I ain't gonna lie to you. Those are the only 3 names I ever hear, on the podcast. Now on ESPN, whatever fights is happening, but it's always, now it's like tagging in Instagram. It's Holly Holmes, what's she doing? Ronda Rousey, what's she doing? This guy, Conor McGregor, what's he doing?
Now this is an interesting topic, and we'll get back to the Ronda Rousey topic about her retiring. But what you just said is a very important thing, because let's just go back and think about it. How did the UFC get to where it was, or where it is now? And it started out with just Dana White. He got 2 rich billionaire friends that had more passion about the sport than he did. And they basically let him run with it. And that meant that he had to do everything. He had to do the promoting. He had to go out and he had to do the recruiting. And he had to manage the athletes. Then he had to go out and after the fights do all the... So it's part of the problem while the system is so messed up of who's going to be challenging for the belt. Like everyone's saying that Jose Aldo, he was a 10-year champion. He should continue. He should get an automatic rematch. They're saying Ronda Rousey. It's because one person is making all of those decisions. And rightfully so, because if it wasn't for him, then the sport wouldn't be here. Now, what you just said is a good point, only because if you're a casual fan, the only names that you're hearing are Ronda Rousey, Conor McGregor, Holly Holmes, only the big name money fights. Those are the only fights that Dana White's going to want to do, because those are the biggest payoffs for him. And that hurts the sports, and that hurts the rankings. So I remember a few weeks back you said, do you think that Dana White has too much power? And I think no, only because he deserves it. But for the sport, I think he does, because not everyone's getting the fights they should fight. The rankings are off because not everyone's fighting as often as they should. you have a spectacular talent like Conor McGregor now. He wants to challenge for the lightweight belt, and if he knocks out Santos, which he has the ability to do, because he walks around at 170, he's going to be cutting to 155, so the weight's going to transfer. But then he wants to challenge for the welterweight belt. So he's going to be, if he has the belt for welterweight, lightweight, and featherweight, what do you think that's going to do for the sport itself? You know what I mean? So for Dana White's pocket, who's already reportedly making $40 million a year, it's going to do very good things. But for the fan and for the athletes, with this new Reebok contract, I don't really know how that's going to work out. But it is what it is. Now, getting back to her retirement, about Ronda Rousey, they're saying that the maneuver that Dana White did with taking that fight March 5th and giving it to Miesha Tate with Holly Holmes was brilliant, because I think he's finally coming to his senses of realizing that if Ronda Rousey can't bite into an apple for 6 months, how is she going to be ready to fight Holly Holmes?
Okay, so for the audience, let's go back in time just a couple minutes. I know we're delving a little bit deep into UFC. I promise you, this isn't just UFC, but this is one of our topics that we're talking about. So we don't want to leave you guys short-handed. We don't want to give you a little bit of information. We got the aficionado here, Styles, so no, we got to keep it real. So my initial take after Holly Holmes knocks Ronda Rousey out, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what did you think about that? What did you think?
You know what's funny?
As a casual
Being a
fan.
casual fan, and I'm going to be completely honest, a part of me was like, good, I'm tired of hearing how she's invincible.
Yeah.
I'm just tired of it.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a person through media that's like, it's like there's all shucks and the stardom and the I'm just glad to be here as a fighter opportunity turned into like, I'm going to pummel you. I am the best. This is what I'm about. Girls want to grow up to be like me. That's fine, which is also okay. But I have my own issues. If I have a daughter and she wants to become Ronda Rousey, I want to start pounding on other people. But this is not the show to really sit there and be.
Why would I do want to ask it? Why would you not want your daughter to get into this sport?
I think that as I was raised with my sisters and stuff, and I feel like it's all in how you're raised at the end of the day. Ronda Rousey's experiences, how she was raised. If you look at her experiences, how she grew up, it's I don't wonder why she became a fighter. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm raising my children in a certain environment that's not conducive of you have to fight on your own and every single thing is hardship and me or my wife or somebody is drunk and you're seeing abuse on a regular basis. I saw abuse, but I didn't see it that much, But the bottom line is, just to get back to it, is like, for me, what's not that exciting for me is to see a woman punch another woman out. Like, to me, that's okay in the sport.
I see what you're saying.
It's okay in the sport, but I still feel like for myself, for my eyes,
right.
like it's still this raw thing. So, to hear her, I was just more of the effect, like, I felt like that was going to happen at some point. I felt like she did what she needed to do. She marketed herself and she did everything right.
Yeah.
And she played upon the invincibility, which I guess if that was me, I would play upon it too. But at the end of the day, she lost. I was like, you know what? Okay, you got humbled. But then how you lost, like you didn't just get beat and it was like a fool. Like you got pummeled.
Right.
To the point, like you said, like when you can't take a bite out of an apple, that's terrible. So my thought about it was like, we talked about this when it came out, like she's going to fight now in July. And we talked about how it was unfair and how this is too fast and how both fighters didn't want it. So to hear it turn around and spin on it.
I was surprised when you told me that Ronda Rousey requested additional time and Dana White granted it to her. I was very surprised.
What were you more surprised of? Her asking for it or him saying yes? I was more surprised about him saying yes.
And I was more surprised about her asking about it. Only because I think that her asking about it doesn't go with her style. Like, she's such a tough person. She can fight it through. Just like that fight. I mean, all she was trying to do was try to muscle and impose her will and make it happen. So for her to actually say, I need more time, this isn't it. It's actually a big thumbs up in her position. You know what I mean? Realizing that, me going back and fighting this lady this soon is not a good idea. And
Right,
people that are around her actually, supported her decision to actually say, okay, yeah, you're right, instead of saying, no, get back in there, get back in there. So that's a good thing. That's a good plus. And just to speak, I wouldn't want my daughter in that sport. Just like football. When you're looking at all the concussion stuff, I constantly think about. I love football. I played it for many years when I was in high school, and the camaraderie that it builds is great. But what I'm realizing now about the concussions that are going out, the dangers to the sport, and the long-term effects of it, it's just like football. I wouldn't want my kids doing.
But
it.
at the end of
I agree.
At the end of the day, it really comes down to how the relationship you have with your kids, where they're at, and what they really, really want. And if my daughter really, really wants to, as she grows up, to want to go pummel some other girls and wants to make money off of it, at the end of the day, I'm not going to stop her from doing it.
Okay. Fair enough.
While I'm protecting her in my household and you're still growing up, it's probably not going to be one of those things where I'm like, yeah, you know what? Why don't you go outside and fight your brother and beat him up? Like, I'm just not.
So here's a question.
Be like that.
This is pretty, because actually still on topic UFC. Sage Northcutt. He's a 19-year-old phenom. Not a lot of people know about him, but he's going to be talked about for years to come. The guy looks like he's chiseled out of marble. You know what I mean? But the thing is
I wish I had a body like that.
Yeah, he's on a whole different level. But he's 19 years old. They're putting him in the ring with UFC fighters. The question I'm going to ask you is this: if your kid is that talented, where he's had 2 fights in the UFC, he's won them in amazing fashion, extremely dominant, and he wants to fight these 31-year-olds or 41-year-olds, would you support that, or what would you say? No,
I feel like if I have a son and he is gifted at something, which is something that for myself, I had a gift, and we're not going to get into this, but now, whatever. But I had a gift and I didn't nurture it, therefore I never was able to use it in the right way. If I'm smart enough to know that if my son or my daughter has a skill like that and is good, and somehow she would have had to have tricked me or snuck behind my back to go do this on a regular basis, and then I find out,
right.
I'm going to support you. I'm going to cringe, but I'm going to support you, because at the end of the day, you want your kid to do better than you. So who am I to say? Human nature is, parents, we always want to have them be like us, but they can't be like us. They need to be themselves.
Right.
Our safety and us parents feel better when they're doing what we already know.
Yeah, right. That's true.
But in closing,
for
UFC, the pay-per-view is March 5th, and I don't know much about the Miesha Tate, but I know that she's gotten beat a lot of times by Ronda. And
to close it up, let me tell you something.
You feel like this is, to me, let me just tell people, the casual fan, I feel like Holly Holmes is going to mop the floor with her, and then it'll be another fighter with 5 or 6 losses that you'll see midway through her ranking, and you'll be like, oh, that's a pretty good fight. I remember she fought this and this. But at the end of the day, never matched her potential. Maybe not matched her potential, but was outmatched by probably 2 of the best fighters ever, and could never get past those 2 to the top.
Ronda Rousey, what happened when Holly Holmes knocked her out was it was such a devastating loss. Like I told you, the Bellagio had to shut down for 2 hours to pay out the money. That should never happen. When I say, and Miesha Tate was going up against that name, she was going up against that legend. She lost in her before she even stepped into the ring. Her performances have no implication of really what she's capable of doing. Okay. And Holly Holmes, because of the way that Ronda Rousey, she had basically the perfect storm. The Miesha Tate fight is not going to go that way. Holly Holmes, in a lot of fighters' way, they just looked at it. It was a perfect storm. She's still ranked number 17. She's only a striker. Miesha Tate is a striker, a proven ground fighter, and she has taken the first fight that she had with Ronda Rousey. They did go the full 5 rounds. So I don't think this is going to be the same fight. I think that Miesha Tate is going to go out with a team. She's going to go in there with a strategy. She's not going to get, she's not going to turn into a bull, so to speak, as Ronda did. And you're going to be very entertained. That's going to be a hell of a card. That's a jam-packed card. When you have Conor McGregor fighting Santos, even if this fight, for some miracle of a way, is disappointing, the Holly Holmes and Miesha Tate fight, that you got to remember, you're going to be looking forward to.
Yeah, I know. Conor McGregor, he's the guy I always wanted to be, just undefeated and just talk shit Well, not undefeated. He keeps it real, though. I'll give
He
him
does.
credit.
He lost against Duffy, but Duffy just took a really bad loss. So he's not. Everyone thinks
That fight's looking a little bit more like a fluke than,
exactly.
excuse me, anything else.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, no matter what sports you love or video games you play, you can say you're better than somebody, but until you get onto that video game console or until you get onto that court, that mat, whatever, you got to play them. You got to prove it.
And that's the best way to bring us into the next thing, the NFL, going into the playoffs.
Oh, wow.
So now you're taking over for this one because you're the man when it comes to sports. I've seen you make some calls before. Remember that the other day we were at the that bar and we were talking about that football game.
The Giants.
He was like, man, they just.
I've watched too many games, man. I've watched too many. When you watch enough games of a sport, just like when you watch enough of UFC for you and fighting,
right.
You start to know patterns that happen, and you can start to see how the result's going to happen.
Now, let me explain this to what the situation was. So it's not we're just not talking about a situation you guys can't relate to. We're at a bar, we're hanging out, and what was going on was the Giants
were playing
the Redskins.
Getting mopped.
He went out to the bathroom, didn't see what was coming back on. They actually got a 2-point conversion, and you didn't see the 2-point convert. All you saw was the coach's reaction, and then he comes out, Sheldon comes out and says, "Oh, they just got a 2-point conversion." Like, how did you know that? You couldn't even tell by the score or anything. I could tell by the coach's reaction. Just they wouldn't get that excited.
The crazy thing is coaches get more happier over the 2-point conversion than touchdown because a 2-point conversion is a decision that has to be made. A touchdown is not a decision. A touchdown is something that happens as a result of your playing. 2-point conversion is something you have to additionally think about. And whenever a coach gets the 2-point conversion right, they feel like they're just on top of the world.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
and that's what you picked up on.
There you go.
All right, so let's get to the playoffs, man. What
are you
excited about? What do you think, man? Give me some predictions.
All right, so as you can see up in the corner, man, we got the playoffs out there. So zoom in on your phone, zoom in on your TV or whatever. I mean, I could make it a little bit bigger for you, but I don't want to block us out like the sun, like an eclipse. But you know, I just want to go over a couple of things that happened in the playoffs so far, okay? And it's not stuff you haven't already heard. If you guys are out in Minnesota, man, I feel for you, but your field goal kicker's got to make that field goal against the Seahawks.
Yeah.
And if you're the Seahawks, the fact that Marshawn Lynch just decided to bitch out, I'm calling Marshawn Lynch out right now. You bitched out on your team. I'm sorry.
He's talking about my team, though.
Okay.
I agree with him.
This is Style 36 Styles team.
I'm telling you, I agree
we're going to keep it real. But Marshawn Lynch, you bitched out. The only reason why I say you bitched out is that you might as well don't even go to any practices. I'd rather you lie. If I'm the coaching staff in that, I'd rather you lie and say, my abdomen still hurts. I can't practice. You practice. You blood, sweat, and tears. You talk to people. Cam Chancellor said he came back from one of the determining factors of him coming off of his hiatus of, trying to stay out for more money was, I can't do that to Marshawn Lynch. We talked and made a pact. Like, we got business we got to finish. We got to win that Super Bowl. He comes back off of personal money, comes back, says you're one of the reasons why. Probably wasn't the biggest one, but one of them. They're out there in fucking 3-degree weather, -2 or whatever, and you're laid up in a hotel somewhere talking about, yo, man, I'm all about that action. No, you ain't all about that action, because you practice, so you show the team that you could play. Now, I will save this caveat for one thing. If somehow he tweaked something and he got hurt, which we'll never, ever know, then that's one thing. But if I'm a Seattle Seahawks fan, I'm going, you know what? We don't need you in Carolina either. What's the point of you saying, oh, I could play now? So you could go, don't get mad, but you could go to Carolina and maybe almost get stomped in? Maybe. I don't know. There's a mystique about the Seattle Seahawks that all the analysts and a lot of people are like, this is the Seahawks year to go win it. All I know is in sports is when everybody says one team's going to win, usually it don't go that way.
Hey, I gotta step in because I'm a Seahawks.
Go for it, Styles. I'll let you run the Seahawks fan club here.
This is why I'm disappointed with the Seahawks. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, wait, hold on 1 second. Hold on. I didn't mean to cut you off, but for my people in the Netherlands and not in America right now, this is American football. American, not soccer. American football with the pigskin. Throw it down the field. Sometimes you see them play in London. Just want to keep it real like that. It's football Americano. All right, go ahead, man. My bad.
So my Seahawks, man, everybody knows that's the Seahawks fans, and we don't warm up until the end of the season. It's just like when we play our games. We don't warm up until the end of the game.
All right.
But we're in the playoffs now. We're here. I don't know if we can't get lucky anymore. Like, it's either bad luck and we have a coach that makes it crazy, or now we're getting lucky just because the Vikings are missing kicks. We got to play to win. You know what I mean? We got to take luck completely out of the equation, and that's what disappointed me. We're just not playing to win. We shouldn't be relying on the Vikings to miss. So what I thought, everyone's saying that, I say that to say this. Everyone's saying that the Seahawks.
Let me get a shout out to Death Mal right there. What's up, Death Mal? What's going on, man? That's my PS3, 4 buddy there. We don't play a lot, but I guess he got a different account. So just want to say shout out. Thanks for watching the show.
Thanks for watching the show, man. Thanks for joining. If you have any questions, let us know. But so what I was saying is, like going back to what you were saying about everyone picking them to win, and are they going to win? I don't think so. I don't think they have it this year. They just don't have the same kind of the spunk that they used to have. They're not playing with the same type of camaraderie, and I'm disappointed with my squad this year. To be honest with you, I'm very disappointed with them.
At least they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, right.
I'm an Eagles fan. And guess what? They sitting home right now. So
they fired that coach, or did he quit?
We'll get into that in 1 second. We'll get into that in a couple minutes. But right now, we're going to go over the playoffs real quick, okay? So we got Seattle. If you're the Minnesota Vikings, I'm sorry. You're up 9-0 in the fourth quarter. Yeah. Adrian Peterson, best running back, probably still in the league. You fumble. You can't do that.
You can't do that, man. You can't do that, man.
Blair, chip shot. Field goal is closer than an extra point. You got to make that, All this stuff I'm saying right now, yes, I've listened to NFL insiders. I've listened to all this. They said all this. But it's exactly the same thing I was thinking when I saw the score and saw the highlights. I'm like, how the hell you missed that shit? So Seattle goes on to play the Panthers in the NFC. So I'll give you my picks after we're done talking about what happened this past weekend. So you had the Green Bay Packers and the Redskins. And everybody's telling me that was a very entertaining game. I'm glad. I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan. But I'm glad that at least he was able to go out there and shine and everything, Because he's an elite quarterback. Hasn't played like one. But then again, when your wide receivers can't get open, I don't know what to tell you. Your wide receivers got to get open. Then I listened to this guy, Skip Bayless, on my First Take show. Always talking about, Tom Brady throws his guys open. Have you seen what Tom Brady's done the last 6 games? He hasn't thrown nobody open. He's been getting sacked a lot, though. And when your wide receivers don't get open, or you don't have good wide receivers that are playing because they're injured, that affects the quarterback. The quarterback can't overcome everything. So if you're one of the 3 people that have an elite quarterback, all right, you have an elite quarterback, guess what? Just be happy, and I'm glad for you because I don't have an elite quarterback that I can blame. But it seems like when these elite quarterbacks don't come through, we blame them. Russell Wilson don't come through, we're going to blame him. But you know what? If Seattle didn't have Russell Wilson last year, they wouldn't even be in the Super Bowl. So what are we blaming them for?
That's true.
All right, so that game, Green Bay just went down to the Redskins. I called it. Redskins, you finished first in the NFC least. You wasn't beating the Green Bay Packers. Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers. I think I'm taking Aaron Rodgers every day, all day. All right, so.
What's he saying?
Is this a family game night? No. It's an NFL talk? No. Just so you guys know, this is a streamcast, and this is the new show that me and my man Styles is doing, and we're just happen to be on the topic of sports right now, so it's NFL.
Sheldon is going in on an epic rant.
So I just have to go in on an epic rant real quick, and if you're coming on now, you already missed the UFC topic at the top of the show. So, and don't worry, we're getting to gaming, and we're getting to movies, and we're getting to entertainment, and that'll be our show for the day. But So I knew Green Bay was going to go in on the Redskins, or as one of my friends calls them, the Deadskins. Okay? So, I mean, if you're Washington Redskins, I guess you're happy you made it to the playoffs. But I'm always the type of person like, man, if I make it to the playoffs, I want to at least win one game. I don't want to make it to the playoffs and get knocked out, So that's frustrating. The other game, Houston and Kansas City, who watched that game unless you're in Houston or Kansas City? I don't care about any of those teams. Nothing star appealing. J.J. Watt, salute, groin injury, out. Rest of the game, they got blanked. How do you go into an NFL playoff game and score 0 points? You give Brian Hoyer as a quarterback. That's what you do right there. Okay? Brian Hoyer sucks. He just absolutely sucks. 6 turnovers? You suck, bro. I'm sorry. You just suck. You need to get somebody back out here in upstate New York outside from freaking Waste Management or something. They come out there and throw some touchdowns because that guy sucked. And you could look into his eyes during the game. He didn't have it either.
Yeah, it's true.
All right? And then what was the last game? What was the last game, if I'm not mistaken? Oh, Cincinnati-Pittsburgh. Man, listen. Cincinnati-Pittsburgh, that was probably the best game of the day. 2 NFL rivals going at it. And you know what? Pittsburgh happened to outlast Cincinnati. Cincinnati would have won that game if they didn't have all the blunders and stuff. And I'm not going to bore you guys on my podcast with everything you probably heard on ESPN already. So this is about the future. We know what Burfict and Adam Pac-Man Jones did. They didn't help their team any. I mean, Burfict did, but then he basically took it away with all these penalties.
Right.
Just concussioning the dude. Learn how to hit a person. You could have knocked Antonio Brown down or knocked the ball out without trying to throw your shoulder through his throat. You know what I'm saying? So right now this week, tomorrow we got the Chiefs against New England, all right? So Tom Brady's throwing to who? Edelman Jones fracture. I don't know. He's probably going to play, but he's probably not going to do that good.
What are you expecting to happen from that game? What should we look for
Okay.
from that game?
Here's my prediction on the New England Patriots against the Kansas City Chiefs, okay? If you see Tom Brady come out against that Kansas City pass rushing defense and he carves them up on the first, second drive of the game, then Kansas City's in for a long day because that means Tom Brady's working with little and he's doing great. But if he comes out and it's a 3-and-out, then the next time it's another 3-and-out, then the next time it's another 3-and-out, man, I'm telling you, when you can get an elite Hall of Fame quarterback on the other side of the field, off the field that fast, that just amps you up.
Right.
Okay, so my prediction in that game is when it's all said and done, I just feel like with Jeremy Maclin being out, wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs, and the fact that they played the Houston Texans, who are they? I just think they're going up to New England and Tom Brady's going to find a way to pull that game out, okay? Second game, or the next one of the other games on the slate for this weekend, Denver at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh injured. First time since, I don't know when, the 60s maybe, where your leading rusher, leading wide receiver, catcher, and probably, maybe, your leading quarterback are going to be all out of the game. Peyton Manning's been rested since week 7, and Denver's got a way better defense than Pittsburgh does. So I expect Denver to roll Pittsburgh pretty easily, I might add. Then you've got the game that I'm not going to be able to see because I'm going to be out of town, which is the Carolina-Seattle Seahawks game.
All right, now let's talk.
Now you get in there. You get in. You get in. What do you think?
What do you think about Cam Newton? First of all, we're going to talk about Cam Newton. What do you think about Cam Newton's season? Do you think this is a fluke season, or this is who Cam Newton is? This is where he's found his comfort zone and he's ready to rock, and this is who he is.
I'm glad you asked me that, man. Okay, check it out, all right? I think personally, you can't really prove something's a fluke until the next year. So this has like a little clause to it. I feel like watching Cam grow up, when you start beating the bullies on your block, when you start actually getting those wins and you start beating them like Seattle, he had lost to Seattle like 3-4 times in a row, I think. You finally go up to their place, you beat them. That's a signature moment right there. You know what I'm saying? You don't have these 15-1 seasons for no reason. Right. They don't just somehow happen. Not only is he rushing the ball, But every time he throws a deep ball, it looks so beautiful and just lands in the person's hands. Who are his wide receivers? I challenge you guys. Tell me who his wide receivers are. I don't know. Functious? It sounds like a stereo system or something. Functious?
Here's my argument, though. We could say the same thing about Kaepernick a year ago. A year ago, people were talking about Kaepernick the same way we're talking about Cam Newton.
Here's the difference, though. When Kaepernick first came out, he sat the bench for a while. He did a lot of stuff with his legs. And yes, he had 2 years that were on fire. Now he's burnt out. But the difference is Cam's been in the league longer. Cam, even when Cam wasn't doing good, the only years that he didn't really produce at a high level was when he was injured. 3, I never heard anything about anybody coming out in the news or in the reporters saying that he doesn't like to study, he doesn't like to train. You look at Cam on the field, does he look like a guy that doesn't take his art seriously? That guy is taller and bigger than half of the dudes out there.
All right, fair enough.
Colin Kaepernick, you hear these things coming out of San Francisco like he doesn't have a good attitude. He doesn't like to study in a playbook. He eats in the lunchroom by himself. You're on a football team. Blood, sweat, and tears every day. Who eats in the cafeteria by themselves, man?
And you're the quarterback.
And you're the quarterback.
You're the quarterback.
And is Kaepernick a leader? Here, hold on a second.
Not if you're eating by yourself.
Okay, he's a leader now.
Yeah.
He does that thing. And another thing, he played against Green Bay so many times and carved them up like, you know what I mean? Green Bay just didn't have an answer for him. So Kaepernick's Kaepernick's faster, but Kaepernick is not accurate. And even when Cam wasn't at MVP status, his accuracy was still better than Kaepernick. So
Okay.
I can't even put those two in the same.
So if I were to ask
round.
Shell Dog, do you think Cam Newton is a fluke? He's just having a fluke season. What would your response be?
I would say no, he's not. Because when he started out this year, if you looked at his first 6 games, he had in his first 7 games, he had 2 or 3 games where his overall QBR rating was like under 60%, which the average for the NFL, I think, is like 55, 56%. His was well under 60%. So he had bad games this year.
Yeah.
But his play got better towards the end of the year, which is what you want in your team. You don't want your team to start out fast and fail. You want your team to start out slow and then get hot and get hot. Now, yeah, they got beat by Atlanta, but I mean, you know, that wasn't no beatdown that they received. It was a 13-20 game, and you see that team twice a year. So, of course, they're going to have your number.
Okay.
So, I don't think it's a fluke.
All right. So, what are your predictions for this weekend in terms of that game?
That
Seattle
game
versus Carolina.
You're not going to like what I have to say, man. You're not going to like what I
think
have to
I'm
say.
going to agree with you, to be honest with you.
But I feel like Seahawks have no mystique because I feel like the Legion of Boom in the defense has blown so many games in the fourth quarter this year that now I'm supposed to expect them against a team that they already lost to, against an MVP at home in a warm weather game, that he's somehow, with rest, that he's somehow just going to not be good, and then you're going to beat Carolina. And I'll grant you this. Every game, something can happen. Can Seattle go up there and win the game? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They sure can. They got the formula to do it. They've got chosen and proven guys that have been through the wars for a couple years now, getting to the Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl. But at the same time, the further you go into the playoffs every year, the more bad you are the next year. Maybe all those struggles that they went to getting through so far, winning a Super Bowl and nearly winning one, maybe they get tired now. Maybe you're going against a Carolina team who's just been fresher over the last 3 years. And you just run into somebody like Cam Newton that you're not going to be able to stop. I don't know who's going to stop Cam Newton when he decides to pull the ball and run. You can say Cam Chancellor all you want, but Cam Chancellor is going to be guarding Greg Olsen.
It's like you have a third running back on the field, right?
There you go. So I pick. It's going to be a close game. This ain't no blowout game, obviously. Seattle don't really get blown out. So
see, this is
it's gonna be a
predictions.
close
I'm
game.
telling you, I don't know how close it's going to be if Seattle plays like they did against Minnesota.
I'm not going to do point spreads here because I don't gamble and this ain't the show.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this. You know, Carolina's going to win a squeaker. It's going to be by maybe 3 points or a touchdown. No more, no more than that.
All right, so let's talk about MVPs. What do you think? MVP for this season. What do you think that?
Well, wait. Before the MVP, let's finish the last game that we have, which is Green Bay against the Cardinals.
Okay. Sorry about that.
This is my no problem, man. This is my upset special. I'm picking Green Bay to come back and win this game easily. Everybody thinks that Green Bay is going to go down to Arizona and get destroyed again. I think it's hard to beat a team twice in less than a month, destroy them again.
Yeah.
When you have an elite quarterback, you always have a chance to win the game.
Right.
So Aaron Rodgers is that elite quarterback. I'm rolling with him to beat Arizona. Carson Palmer, you had a nice year, but
that Aaron Rodgers lately has. Do you think he's looked like an elite?
No, he has not.
Right,
He's played like crap. But
Yeah.
I feel like just because you're a good player and you're a great player doesn't mean you don't have stretches where you suck.
Yeah. Okay.
Everybody talks about how Michael Jordan is the greatest player in the world, but there was plenty of games where he sucked.
Yeah, it's true.
They just never happened to be in the NBA
It's
Finals.
true.
Therefore, he gets his status of greatness.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why LeBron James will never, to me, be on the same level as him because, you know, he's lost too many finals. I'm sorry. You lose 3 or 4, I'm good.
You know what's interesting about that with the whole LeBron James? We're talking about Curry, Stephon Curry, and all that stuff. Why does everybody want to be on the same level as Mike? Why can't people just
That's
realize?
about Switchblade. I don't know what that's about. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
The thing that gets on my nerve is like, why does everybody want to be another Jordan? Like, why can't there be there? Why can't people be LeBron? Why does it always have to have that reference point to Jordan? Like, you look at Curry, right? He's a completely different shooter than Michael Jordan. There's this completely different greatness to what Curry can do versus what Jordan can do with the ball. But they still want to make that reference points. I want to be better than Michael Jordan. Well, why is that? I just
think that in sports, in life, everything's competition. I just think in sports, like, you're just always going to want to compare. That's just how it goes. Who do you think's the best? It's very opinionated. It's very flawed as far as who thinks what is the best. And I think people want to rank people because they have personal opinions about who they think is the best. If you watch Michael Jordan and grew up with him like I did, I hated him, but, you know, that people will never. Yeah, I didn't. I was a Knicks fan. He killed us every year. What am I going to do with that? I mean, I respected him. Now I love him more away from the game than I did when I watched him. But, you know, the thing is that people when they're rating, you know, the only thing they really care about is, you know, who's great when they were watching.
Right.
That's what this really comes down to. You have millions and millions of people who watch Jordan in a time where you're not going to get Jordan back. So to compare, that's where it comes from. Let's compare Curry to everybody. Like, you're not getting those players back. Jordan's never coming back. Nobody's ever going to be like him. So you say, let's not compare, but people can't help it. They miss him. It's kind of like Tiger Woods in golf.
Yeah.
They're waiting for Tiger Woods to come out. Or Mike Tyson in boxing. God, I love boxing.
Yeah.
I just watched Tyson chasing forever. You know, chasing Tyson forever. Chasing whatever. You know, the documentary, Holyfield. I could watch that 50 million times. Watching Mike Tyson be who he was. I remember the moment. I just wish he would just stay more, you know, young forever and be that guy.
Yeah, right.
And ever since he left, there has not been a guy like that.
And it seems like people use those call tags. They want to get people to watch. Okay, if this guy looks like Jordan, then let's tune in and watch his next game. If this guy hits like Tyson, I remember how Tyson. Let's tune in. So I see what you're saying. Definitely. All right. So your prediction, I see. You think that Green Bay is going to pull it off. Okay.
So now you're talking about
MVPs.
Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, we're talking about
MVP. Okay.
You got Odell Beckham. You got Cam Newton.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are, and then who else would be in that top league in terms of a standout? I wanted to put Eddie.
Here's my view on MVP.
Talk to me.
MVP has to be a person that has the ball the most, usually. So it's going to come down to quarterbacks. And if you're not a quarterback and you're considered for MVP, you have to do a hell of a lot and have to be very noticeable in your stats and your team's win to do it.
Odell Beckham. I mean, that's check.
Nope.
Talk to me. You don't think he gets the ball enough?
No. One, Odell Beckham's great. He did have a great year. He didn't have an MVP year. He didn't. There's Antonio Brown.
Has there ever been a receiver that had MVP?
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's been players, Calvin Johnson. I don't know. I'll have to look on that. I know earlier, back in the 80s and stuff, you know, you had man, I'm drawing a blank on the wide receivers.
Because I think you're right. I think that because it doesn't fit into that formula you just said, they don't get the ball enough.
I don't think.
It's either running backs or
it's either running backs or quarterbacks. I mean, I'll look the facts on that. But the reason why I say no to Odell Beckham is yes, he had a great year, but there's wide receivers that had better years catching and statistic-wise than him. Antonio Brown had a way better year than he did. Too bad he's concussed for this year. But if I was gonna pick wide receiver, like if you're gonna be MVP, you got to be the best at your position, like noticeably, and he's not.
Right. Okay.
So
enough.
for me,
Fair
it
enough.
would be, you got Carson Palmer, Tom Brady, Antonio Brown, just as an honorable mention, and then Cam Newton. But it's got to go to Cam Newton.
Yeah.
You have the best team. He's the most valuable player. He's the reason why they are 15-1, pretty much solely because not only does he pass it, he runs it.
Yeah.
And he scores.
Yeah.
And he commands that respect from the defense that you can't just
I see what you're
plan
saying. I
for.
agree.
That's what I think. I mean, I think a close second would be Carson Palmer and then Tom Brady because who was he throwing it to for half the year?
Right.
He had so many injuries, but yet they were able to be 12-4. That's considered a down year for them, and that's still pretty good.
Interesting.
My Super Bowl predictions, real quick, is this: I see Carolina on one side, and I see Denver on the other side, and I see Denver beating Carolina. And the only reason why I see
you lost me. You lost me at that last part. What do you
the only reason why I see Denver, if Denver can get
with what
make it there,
quarterback? With what quarterback?
it'll be Peyton Manning, but it won't be Peyton Manning while they win. I will just say because Denver's defense is better than Carolina's defense. And I would feel like they have a secondary that used to be Seattle's secondary.
I'm glad we recorded this because it's going to be interesting. I'm telling
It used to be Seattle's secondary, which they have 4 people in the secondary that can go one-on-one with people. Cam is great, but you still got to ask who his wide receivers are. His number one wide receiver out for the whole year before the year started. And his tight end, Greg Olsen, could easily get locked down by one of their guys or 2 of their guys. So who is he throwing it to? Plus, their defense, at least to this point, is good against the run. So he might not be able to run the way he's been able to run.
Right.
Seattle's defense is not what it used to be. That's why I'm picking Carolina to beat Seattle.
Right.
Bottom line. Carolina can either beat Green Bay, which they already had this year.
It's just
Arizona's going to be a tough game to play.
I think it's just written in the numbers for Carolina to go to the Super Bowl this year.
I just think they will. I just think they'll end up going.
I don't think with the confusion going on in Denver with the 2 different quarterbacks switching in and out, you got one guy starting and coming in, Peyton saving the game. I see Super Bowl Peyton coming out by the time the quarter half is there, and the other quarterback coming in. But I don't think Carolina. I don't think that Denver has what it takes to take down Carolina. They're just too much of a force this year. But we'll see. We'll definitely see that. I'm looking forward to that game. But I think that pretty much wraps up for the NFL now, right? We're going on to gaming now, right? 2016 new game releases. What games are going to be coming out and what's going to be going and playing on there.
Alrighty, so that's what I have for the Super Bowl. So the next thing we're going to get into is entertainment, man. We got the movies going on here. We got the good old... Actually, no, man. We got the gaming going on here.
Yeah.
What's happening? So let's hit up into gaming. My man Styles has got a gripe. He's about to hit you up with that gripe right now.
Are you talking about UFC 2?
Well, yes. We're
Or
going
you
to
talking
talk about
about
UFC
Halo?
2.
Yeah, the
We're
Halo
going to talk
rating
about
system.
UFC 2. We're going to talk about the division. We're going to talk about Halo and the ranking structure. So, you go first, since I've been talking for the last 10 minutes.
The Halo ranking system, man, I like it. I think it's extremely accurate. The problem with it is this: when I say it's extremely accurate, if you're in a room and you're playing against diamonds, or if you're playing against some platinum players, it usually, when you look at the ranking of who wins, the platinum will usually win. If there's a bunch of golds, the silver will win against bronze. That's what I mean. But how they come up with that original, like what puts you into the Onyx ranking, or what puts you into the Platinum ranking, or what puts you... And for the listeners that don't know what I'm talking about, we're talking about Halo 5. It's the newest release for the Halo franchise. And they have a new ranking system that basically, after your first 10 games in whatever game mode you're playing, it basically categorizes you and puts you in the category of a bronze player, a silver player, a gold player, platinum player, diamond, and black onyx. some players, those happenings are cheating the system because once you get into that, you say, once you become a diamond, you can't come out of that. You can level up diamond 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a lot of people, they'll team up with other great players and get the awesome ranking system, like the Slayer modes. So that's my only bickering, is that some people are cheating it and they're getting placed in these higher levels that they shouldn't be, and people that are trying to work up, they can't get the right players to play with them so they can get where they should be. So I guess that's my only bickering system. The accuracy of it, like I said, if you're playing with silvers and you're a gold, you're going to win, typically, because if you're a silver, you're rightfully ranked there. But that's pretty much it. What I'm interested in seeing is what they're going to be doing with it, the next installation of Halo 5, what the ranking system is going to be there. Because I think without that flaw, I think it's a great system. I like it better than the ranking systems for other first-person shooters. For example, the biggest comparison would be like a Call of Duty.
Oh.
That ranking system is just painful. You know what I mean?
That ranking system is, it's a good thing you bring that up because, the one thing I never want to find out is how they rank and group people into gameplay.
The lobbies?
The lobbies. Because once I find out, I just lose lust of the game. And I don't know if it's always been like that for Call of Duty, but I remember finding out in Advanced Warfare where they're like, depending what rank you are, this is the range that you just get thrown into.
Right.
Or if you're in a group playing with other friends and people like I do, the lowest one is the one that they put you in. And then people just use their excuse to exploit it and stuff. And it's like, at the end of the day, can I just get random, period? I could get the best or I could get the worst. It's just random, whoever gets in there first.
So let me get this straight. So you don't like now, like typically for Call of Duty or most games, they try to rank you with someone within that range limit of your game level. You don't think they should do that? You think it's just be random and sometimes?
No, I think that that's fine. I just think that every single type of ranking thing that they can do, there's just always an opening for exploitation, which at the end, I just don't want to know.
Yeah,
I just want to be anonymous and feel like every time I get on, I have a chance based on my skills. I don't need to see and what I do now is I used to go like, oh man, that guy's a high rank. I'm out of here. I ain't playing it. I don't do that anymore because I don't really care anymore, at least in Call of Duty, about my KD because, the Black Ops 3 is great, but this totally induces campers, so I'm not even get on a rant about the campers. But, at least Halo ranking structure is better than Rainbow Six Siege.
Oh, yeah.
Because in multiplayer, what happens is after 5 or 6 matches, you get ranked in bronze, gold, silver, whatever. But when you start losing, if you keep losing, you get to go below the categories now. You can go all the way back down to I don't know what the lowest rank is there. But let's say if you start at gold and you just go on an epic losing streak, you can be back down at bronze. At least at Halo, you'll just go back to the one tier of that bracket, and you're all right. Which I do have to get into some Halo 5 more when I start playing the Xbox One more next week. So
this guy has all the systems to play, so it's gonna be hard for him to. I totally understand his decision, his dilemma.
Yeah, I do have dilemmas, man. I got the Wii U, I got the Xbox One, the PS4, but we try to find a way to make it work. But usually, you guys out there, or my friends, you guys decide what I play. Because if there's friends that want to play something, I'll definitely jump on there and do that. Than just play games by myself.
So, what new games are you getting excited? You excited about that UFC 2 coming out?
Listen, man. Once they change the date from December to March, I've never played UFC before either.
Before we get excited about tomorrow, how can you be that far off with the release date? How can you go from December to March?
Here's what the guy told me at GameStop the other day. So they'll give out generic releases when they don't have a date.
Okay.
So I guess that one was probably a generic date, and then now they know, and now there you go. But that was a hell of a freaking long ways off, forgetting. Definitely.
So here's an interesting thing, though. So if the game is going to be released in March, that means we could be getting our hands on a demo as soon as February, then, huh?
I would hope so. I would like to learn how to play the game before I play other people who played the first one, because I will suck at it.
That's definitely a game on your list, though, games to get, right?
Yep. I've already got that game reserved.
What about The Division?
And The Division, listen, man.
All right, so you played the alpha, which was explain to the viewers what an alpha is versus a beta release.
All right, so the alpha release of it than the beta. The alpha was like you got to play additional stuff on there. You got to play an extra mission to my knowledge, and you got to play a mode where you go after you beat a mission, you go into the dark forest or the dark area, you know, of outer limits of the city, and just keep playing and shooting and ranking up and playing different people. So there was a different mode other than just beat that mission and then it's all over
Okay.
for this game. Now the Division, man, I'm so psyched about this
Give
game.
us a rundown of this game, because I'm hearing the GTA comparison. What I told you, Grand Theft Auto comparison.
Okay.
How does it play out? Like, what were your first?
All right. Well, if you guys have played Grand Theft Auto 5 or any Grand Theft Auto, your free range world of how you move in an environment through either first person or, you know, different views of looking at yourself, run around all over the place. It's very interactive. You can climb up stuff, you can blow up stuff, you go into different safe houses, you go into different hospitals, and just so you guys have the backdrop of the Division, basically some nuclear terrorists or something came to New York City and just blew shit up and have taken over New York City, and you, as part of this elite division of people who are surviving and are still within the city limits or inside the city, are setting up ground, and you're trying to take over the city again from the criminals, from the bioterrorists, from them. So basically you have certain points in the city that you can go to that are safe houses. You go in there, you can get something to eat, you can change your weapon, you can do whatever you want, heal up.
Wow.
And then there's other missions you got to go. These different safe houses, buildings, police stations, all run down or whatever. They'll be like, yo, you got to go out there and do this mission so we can get power back on. Then when you get power back on, then they're good. And then that figures out another puzzle to help you going towards in progression.
Okay. All right.
Because the mission that I did, I had to restore power. I had 3 missions I could pick. Restore power, go to the hospital, save a doctor, which I did that one. I saved a doctor who was able to come back to the building where everybody was at to help aid us. And then she gave me another mission like, well, now I need materials. But then the game paused out. So free range, shooting's pretty decent. So in GTA, you can run around, hit bats, you can shoot. You know, you pull out your weapons, you can see yourself. If you don't want to see yourself, you can do that too. And that's basically what this reminded me of, the running around, the free range stuff, and everything. You can pick your character. You could be a girl, boy, black, white, whatever. At least that's what they had for there. So I'm just stoked about this game. You know, anything from Tom Clancy. I've only
think
played.
It's going to be one of the biggest titles for next year? For this year, 2016?
Yeah, I think so. You know, it's one of the only 3 or 4 games I'm going to get next year. I'm still debating on if I'm going to get the next Call of Duty. The only reason why I want to get the next Call of Duty is because that's the next one I'm going to get for Xbox, which I've never played Call of Duty for Xbox. But, you know, and they said it's going to go back to Modern Warfare, so it's going to be realistic again, which, sorry guys, but I didn't start playing Call of Duty until it started doing futuristic shit, until it was like Black Ops 2. So
I'm in the same category. And the only thing that gets me excited about it, going back to its old gameplay, is that these games that have been futuristic, I think, have been done very well with the objection to the last game that came out.
a lot of people are complaining, and
With the futuristicness, right? It's just too.
people are exploiting. Like if it was Advanced Warfare, people didn't like how you could expand the getting away. Like people, when they're shooting, they don't want you to get away. Just stand there and shoot back, just like real life. Don't run away and come back and fight me. Just shoot, you know. So I get that, but you know what? To be honest with you, even though Black Ops 3, I suck at it. You know, my kill death ratio is 0.70, and I don't care. You know, but I'm better at other ones than that. But you know, I don't care because I like everything that they put into it. And the story modes, the joint campaign mode, where I don't know if I told you, but when you beat regular campaign mode, they unlock another mode where you play campaign again, but it's called Nightmares. So instead of androids and humans, it's androids and zombies, and it's a different mission, and you're a girl instead of a guy. So
that's crazy.
I've already got to start another mission. Plus, they give you 2 zombie mode maps to play to begin with their own story, and now when the DLC comes out early February, you'll be playing in a different story mode of zombie modes where you're inside some old what is it? Old man, who do we fight in World War II again? The Russians or Adolf Hitler and those guys. It's like old school freaking Nazi.
Germans,
Nazi German town.
Huh.
You know, Jared 2, whatever the hell. And it's in a new story to this. So
It's gonna be interesting.
at least they hooked you up on campaign mode, you know. So, but the Division, I'm looking forward to that game. I'm looking forward to UFC 2. I'm also looking forward to Overwatch, which is another shoot 'em up game, which I don't have much detail of because I haven't played the demo yet, and I've only seen it in trailers. But basically, Overwatch is 28 people you play that they each all have their significant different advantages, and depending on how you link up in teams when you play, instead of Call of Duty where you guys can pick a different specialist, you may have different abilities and you play, but you could pick the same ones. I think this one you can only pick that certain one with abilities, so there's no copies. And all of their specials intertwine in different ways as you play in the game, shooting up all over the place. So, but I'll have more on that with you guys when they throw out a beta or whenever I get to see more previews and pay attention. So, so that's where we're at with that. So we're good with Division. Division's a game you want to get.
It's a sweet game.
I'll be on there. Xbox One, ShellDog777. Hit me up. I'll be on there. Or even hit me up before then. So now we get to our two last topics. This is the second to last topic here. We're already going over the hour mark. We did want this to be an hour, but this is going to be a little bit longer because we want to get through our chapters of content, and this is entertainment for you guys. So you guys should be happy about this. So now we're going to get into entertainment. More importantly, this movie. You know about it. Have you seen it yet? You haven't seen it yet. If you haven't seen it yet, guess what? Don't watch this channel anymore because the spoiler alerts are already on. Spoiler alert.
All over the place. So just turn it off
Spoiler
right now.
alert. We'll give
I'm
you
about
2
to hit
seconds.
Shell Dog up with
All
some
right.
questions about this movie because I'm not a diehard.
First,
fanatic.
let's talk about, real quickly, talk about your Star Wars background. How much are you into it? How many?
I've seen the Star
movies
Wars
have you
movie. I
watched?
said probably out of all of them, I've probably seen.
There's 6. There's 7 of them now.
There's
6
7
of them.
now because of this last one.
Right. So
Okay,
there were
out
6
of
of them
7,
before.
I've probably seen 5 of them. Okay.
Okay.
So I get the background of the movie. I wasn't a diehard fan, so I didn't watch it enthusiastically. I didn't go back and watch it 10 times. I don't have the whole series.
Oh,
But
man.
this is the deal.
All right.
So
Break it
based
down.
off what I know, that movie confused me and it disappointed me. Only because of this. There were certain points of it that didn't make any sense. From the Star Wars that I watched, I was very familiar with the training being a very big part of it. So I'm going to ask you questions now to explain to me. So maybe I'll enjoy the experience a little bit more.
Okay.
Wasn't the training like a big part using the Force? Wasn't that a big part of all the other movies? If that's the case, so why was it that that chick was able to master the Force so quickly? Like she was just able to just this guy right here with the lightsaber?
Yes.
Darth Vader.
Well, he's not Darth Vader, but yes.
Yeah, he's Darth Vader's son, or he represents.
You're talking about? Oh, you're talking about Luke Skywalker? Or you're talking about that guy in our image right
the
there?
guy in the image.
The guy in the image right there. That's Han Solo's son.
Okay. So how was she able to beat Han Solo's son without being able to master the Force?
Here's the thing: Han Solo had nothing to do with Jedi anything. He had no
Force
powers. He was a human being who was basically a hustler, a robber, trick of the trade, tradesman guy, very fast with a gun, lying on his feet. Him and Princess Leia, who was Luke Skywalker's sister, ended up, according to this story, getting together. They had a child who produced characteristics of the Force, but he never got trained by Luke Skywalker because Luke Skywalker in this movie disappeared, and therefore he succumbed to the dark side. My problem with this movie, the only small problem is that they made the Darth Vader classic, the Sith, pretty damn good. They made that character of evil weak as hell. Like, they show this guy's face, and once you see his face, then you can you start to feel sorry for him, and that's not what I want to feel with the last guy. That's not what I want to feel with the bad
or
guy.
guy that's representing Darth Vader. When he comes in, you got this music, and the mood changes, and he's just
Like, Darth Vader used to come in and be like, the Force is not with you, goodbye.
That's it.
This guy,
but
it makes sense because he's at a kid form. The beautiful thing is the way they left off the movie. Obviously, there'll be another one. He's gonna get some training now away, and then when we see him again, he's probably gonna be a problem to deal with.
Okay.
In every sense of the word, because at the end of the movie, you hear him say, "We gotta go get." I forgot his name. We gotta go get him. The master guy that's a hologram. I forgot his name, but he's Palpatine's like creator or something from like I don't know, from the second one or anything. He says we got to go get him and we're gonna take him to finish his training. I'm assuming the next movie we see, he's gonna be a hell of a deal to deal with.
Okay.
But so will the girl too. The thing with the girl is that she falls in line in the story with the first one with Anakin Skywalker, which was the boy, which turned into Darth Vader. They're just people who are born with the Force, and you have to unlock it. He unlocked it with her in there.
Okay.
As far as Han Solo and that's concerned with, that's his son. So to see Han Solo die, for people like me, my background, I watched all 6. I watched the first 3 religiously over and over again because my parents loved it. Therefore, I loved it. Then I watched the beginning, the prequels of all the other 3. So I'm very immersed in it, even though I'm not a Star Wars fanatic. I just watch the movies, love them, and then, like, I watched this movie once. I may buy it to add to collection, but I'm not going to watch it every single day and dress up. Like, I don't do that, okay? Cosplay, got to go to another channel for that, all right? I don't do that shit here, all right? So, what else did you have? So, your other issue
how was that trooper, the black trooper,
the black trooper,
use,
okay,
a lightsaber and be able to fight with that Darth Vader character? How is that even possible?
Here's the crazy thing about it, okay? In the second one, which was the second prequel of Star Wars before the first original 3, was the Attack of the Clones. That's when you find out Boba Fett, his character, his clone, his everything. They basically cloned all the stormtroopers from him.
Okay.
So that's why all the troll stormtroopers back then acted the same and everything is whatever. Now you can only assume because of the excerpts that they said, because this is future, so this is past the last old one that you watched. The black guy even said, you're coming in and you're stealing people from your home now. They come in and they steal children and then they turn them into. They no longer clone them. They're no longer clones from Boba Fett.
Okay.
Boba Fett's no longer, he died or whatever. I'm not exactly sure. But so for him to be black is understandable now under what they already said what they do. They're pillaging people. Be honest with you, I didn't know that he knew how to use a lightsaber. The funny thing I will agree with you is that in the older episodes, and you guys let me know if I'm right or wrong, or whenever you watch this podcast, because there's people who are invested in this, so I'm probably not 100% in everything. But I thought that the lightsaber won't work for you unless you're part of the good force.
That's what I thought.
Okay, so he's probably part of the good force, but we don't know. He's in a coma right now.
Okay.
But he sure didn't fight like he fought valiantly, but he didn't fight like he could use that.
Right.
The girl fought like she could know that. Here's my thing, and I told my wife this. I think they haven't said it yet, but I think that she is Luke Skywalker's daughter. That's what I think personally.
What?
So I think, and I think in the next one we'll find out what Luke Skywalker was doing before he turned his back on the Academy when he had an apprentice that went bad and just he didn't want to do it no more. Because there's a gap of time between when the ending, when she found him, there's a gap of time between 6 and when that movie started. So the next one's going to explain. That's my theory, anyways.
That's an interesting theory. We'll find out. I'll definitely stay tuned for that.
So what else you got about Star Wars, or was it?
Everyone thought, I think a few people agreed that it went a little too long.
It went a little too long. It went about 15, 20 minutes too long.
The diehard fans said that they needed to go that little bit longer because it gave you the satisfaction of, okay, what's going to happen next?
I needed that because if I would have watched that whole thing and not seen Anakin Skywalker or Scott Hamilton, as the real actor's name is, at all, I would have been pissed.
Okay, all right.
Can I at least, is he alive? At least you got to find out everything. Okay. He was somewhere.
All right.
And she found him.
All right, and did everybody like the fact that all those characters were shown in the same movie? The fact that Luke Skywalker, and Han Solo, and
And Princess Leia.
yeah, all those people in one movie as opposed to being them spread out.
I know my wife is a Star Wars person based on when she just saw them with her parents. And but she's not like me. She's not like into it. We clapped and we loved it. It's how they bridge the old with the new. You bridge the people who didn't watch the original three or watched it and was like,
Yeah.
the graphics aren't what it is today. And the people who watched the first three prequels was like, wow, that's cool. You got all of them in a room and you prolonged it across and you tied. I think they tied the story together pretty well because when you watch the original three, Princess Leia and Han Solo, there was a part of me when I was a kid saying, how come those two aren't together? Then they put them together.
There you go.
So it worked out in the end,
There you go. Good, interesting.
Definitely. So, we got the Badlands, man.
Not Badlands for the series portion
man.
of the show.
Did
What
you
you
watch
think of
the
that
last
last? Did I watch the last episode?
Did me and my wife watch the last episode? Jaw dropping. Listen, man.
I don't even know where those three monks that came in there, man.
Woo!
Even those three monks.
You gotta tell the fan. Listen,
If
viewers out there.
Badlands,
I got 3 viewers out there. If you're from, well, now it's only 2, so that's great. But if you're out there in Netherlands, England, Africa, wherever, whoever's watching this or whoever will watch this, if you ain't watching the Badlands, now you can watch it on demand or Netflix maybe, because the series is over. It's over for now. New season next year. Hopefully they pick it up next year.
They will. They had a good show.
Good. Listen, man, the Badlands is the movie for you. It's a movie for me. It's a movie for him and for my wife.
It's a series.
It's a series.
Yeah,
It's a series. I mean, listen, man, that last fight scene, my man, how did I forget his name already?
The same way I did.
What the hell was his name? Oh, Sonny. My man Sonny went out like General Custer at the fight at the Alamo or whatever the hell. Like, I mean, listen, man, he was good, but there's this entity of these people
that just are way.
And the Black Widow was one of them.
Yeah.
I like how they've done it so far.
There's a question for you because I'm reading my mind, going through trying to figure it out. Has Sonny been cut and seen his blood at all? Do you see at any point was he ever cut? Because
I mean, he got beaten to a pulp.
He's got beaten to a pulp, but has he ever been cut though?
As far as I know, if you see your blood, man, I thought it's a wrap though. I mean, when you make him show his blood, you're thinking along. First of all, let's just give our viewers give them a quick synopsis of what the Badlands is about. Basically.
All right, Badlands. I'm gonna need your help on this one because so much to cover. Okay. But just tell me what I forget. Basically, what the Badlands is it's a group of basically badass leaders. There's a few of them that are what are the head guys called?
Barons. You got 5 barons.
5 barons, right? And the 5 barons control a certain aspect of property.
Post-apocalyptic. Like, me and my wife tried to figure out for the first 5 or 6 episodes, did it happen in time, back in the past, before World War, or was this the future? This is definitely the future, past, our present.
Right. For sure.
We figured that out. But it's 5 barons. They each owe a section of a certain part of the Badlands.
Right.
And they're supposed to coexist, and they don't ever go past the boundaries of the Badlands.
Right. And the past the boundaries of the Badlands doesn't exist in their book.
In their mind.
And the only people that can reproduce and control money and have emotion are the barons. And they have fighters that fight for them and represent their cause. And they all just kind of, like you said, they coexist until the balance has been shifted, which is what's going on now. You're in the business of the balance being shifted. And barons are trying to take over other barons' properties. They're causing war and mischief. And what's happened now is that there's these outsiders that have powers that are, once they see their own blood, they basically black out and they become like super powerful tenfold. And one of the main character that Sonny is trying to protect is one of those entities that once he blacks out, sees his blood, it's over. When they finished it off, like I said, spoiler alert. We were at the point where Sonny seems to be one of these entities, and that was why I was asking Sheldog, does he think that, as at any point through the series, have we seen Sonny bleed? Because we haven't seen him black out and go absolutely nuts. But so far, I mean, the series has just been absolutely great. It's by far the best martial arts series I've seen in a very, very, very long time. The only thing that really compares to it is Marco Polo on Netflix, which is absolutely phenomenal. Well, but besides that, by far, it's probably one of the best series I've seen. I really do hope it.
I'd like to thank you 3 followers watching us, 3 viewers watching us right now. Really appreciate the support. This is our first episode. Obviously, we're a little bit B-rated. We got to get some equipment. Things will get better, but we want to suck you guys in and get the conversation, get you guys, telling us what you want to hear about and stuff like that, rather than us necessarily dictating the show. But Styles, back to what you were saying, like, it took me and my wife the last couple episodes, man, we were trying to figure out, and when we watched that last episode, the last episode is Sonny, which is the head clip man for one of the major characters of the Baron, okay? They come across this boy who gets cut, and he possesses these powers, and when he gets cut,
demonic
powers come out. He doesn't know who he is, and he's just like the most invincible thing in the world. He's throwing, killing, and destroying people.
Powerful, super skilled.
But every time he becomes this, he ends up losing more of his actual vitality, life source.
Yeah.
So basically, we were after that fight because Sonny was actually standing toe to toe with 3 monks that came from the outside of the Badlands in a car. So that leads me to believe that, like, obviously there's life outside of the Badlands, alive more in advance. They came to get this boy back, and Sonny, they had to go through Sonny, the head clinchman martial arts guy, and he held his own very well, which led me and my wife to believe that he had to have been one of them or not. Also in that series, he has a medallion of the city.
The same city that the boy came from.
Yeah, the guy said that we took this from you when you came here.
Sonny, yeah, exactly.
So, that's where we're at with that. It's a little bit nondescript. I apologize. We don't have
no apologies. You guys got to check it out for yourself.
You guys have got to check it out.
It's amazing.
We recommend that series. You got about 10, 11 good episodes, good fighting, some nice looking women in there that are fighters as well.
Yeah.
The Black Widow turning from one of them to who she is now. I've got to find out next year how that happened and what part that plays in it.
Yeah, that's the prediction I wanted to ask you. What do you think we're going to be seeing? They're going to try to... Do you typically...
Sonny's on a boat. So Sonny's is leaving the Badlands, okay? His girlfriend that he was with is going to have a kid without him being there. The Baron, even though it showed that he got stabbed and is dead, he can't be dead because I feel like he's one of the main characters. So he somehow probably gets nursed by Sonny's girlfriend, and then maybe Sonny's girlfriend becomes his new wife, and blah 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 blah.
It's gonna be interesting, and then the wife's gonna think that kid's his and all kinds of stuff. We'll see what it is. I mean, we don't know. We're just making some crazy predictions, but that series is definitely gonna do well. And my
wife couldn't stop raving. If you like scenery and you like picture and viewing and appreciation for how something's shot, my wife just would not stop about how beautiful it was, how serene, and how amazing the picture was they got from everything. Did you notice that? It was just vibrant.
Someone asked me, what do I think? Why do I think they came out with that series? And I said it was the answer to Marco Polo, which was a series that Netflix did. They spent millions and millions of dollars on the scenery. And I think it was a great answer. I think they did a good job on it. I'm looking forward to it next year. It should be good. It should definitely be good.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So, what do we have at the last topic? We got a couple more topics. Let's just do a couple. I've got a whole list here of previews since we're on an entertainment and movie thing. But since we've already gone a little bit past our time, I'm just going to do one preview of a movie I want to see. One of the movies I want to see coming out this year is Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Time. I just got to see it. Part of the comics. Got to see it. They turn Lord Zod. They bring back Lord Zod and they make him Doomsday. Somehow Wonder Woman's in it. I got to see it, man. It's a movie I got to see.
The movie I got to see this year is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon 2.
Wait a minute. I know nothing about this.
What? You don't know nothing about
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon 2?
It's a Netflix project, man. It's a Netflix project.
So it's going to be on Netflix?
It's going to be on Netflix. I think it's coming out in March. It's gonna
Is
be
my girl Michelle
Come on,
Yeoh
man.
in it? Is my girl Michelle Yeoh in it, baby?
That's like asking, is there milk in my cereal?
Oh man!
You can't have one without the other. You can't
Oh
have one.
man, dude!
And the second movie I want to see this year I'm really excited about is Ip Man 3, IP Man 3. And that's gonna be awesome with Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson's in it?
Man, is Mike Tyson? He's the main boss in it, man.
What?
Bro,
What?
got Bruce Lee. It's got Bruce Lee.
Well, how does it have Bruce Lee in it? I thought
Come
Bruce
on,
Lee's
man.
dead, man.
Man, because
dog.
no one see people don't know this.
Is this the Tupac theory?
Nah, it's not
Where like
Tupac, man.
Tupac made so much material that they
was
just
the
keep
one
bringing
that
it up?
trained Bruce Lee.
I know.
So that's
what?
why they put him in this movie.
Oh,
So he's
but it's
in there
not
too.
really Bruce Lee.
No,
It's Bruce Lee the character.
no.
All
Bruce Lee
right.
the
Hey,
character.
hey.
Bruce Lee the
I was about to say.
Yeah, it's
For all my people out there in Asia, my bad. He ain't alive, okay?
So those two movies are what I'm looking for. What's another movie you're looking for? Give me another one.
My other movie that I'm really, really looking forward to right now, and I just watched a YouTube video that had like a total list of like everything, but I'm only doing lists of stuff that I actually saw previews to. There's two more. One is Captain America, okay, Civil War.
Okay.
I've got to see Captain America fighting Iron Man and fighting War Machine. I just like seeing superheroes of those
I don't
abilities
see
fighting
how
each
that
other.
fight could even happen. Like that's
All I
what
know is in the
about.
preview they gave it up because they show Iron Man holding War Machine in his hand like he fucking died.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
I just don't understand how Captain America could do anything to Iron Man. Just like the Superman movie.
Captain America's invincible though. Like it's like
Man,
when you get that invincibility, man, he
Man.
doesn't.
it's the
His
same
shield
thing.
is made out of something that's like not anything on this world. They can cut through anything, man.
Same thing with Superman and Batman. It's a hard battle.
At the end of the day, you break down Iron Man, he's parts.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
The inner
But
him and his heart and his smartness is what makes him who he is. But it's kind of like when you see the Superman versus Batman. Granted, Superman is just everything, but Batman is just smart. So with a little bit of kryptonite that he'll find out, you know, in that movie, like who is the one person that's going to spend time, who spends time finding your weaknesses for a living? Batman.
It's true.
When he finds it, he exploits it.
It's true. It's true.
You know, so it's just gonna be.
I'm excited this year. I'm excited this year because there's going to be some good releases. Not as many as there were last year in terms of games and movies and series. There were a lot of big titles last year that did really, really well. This year, it's got
They're
some
on point with the
good forward.
movies this year. I'll give them
They
credit
are.
for
They're
that.
doing
Man.
a good
I'll
job.
give them some
Now,
freaking
for
credit
us
for
being
that.
on point with the Oscars, that's a whole different story.
Oh,
That's
man.
all we.
I don't know what's
I think-
happening with the
I
Oscars.
think we might need to
man.
say that for next week's show.
We're gonna
just
save
because
Oscars
we're
for
over, but
next week.
We're gonna have a nice little conversation about that, and
But one more preview. I want you to watch it. The Suicide Squad with Harley Quinn, Diablo, and those guys.
What is
There's a
that?
movie coming out with Harley
Stop
Quinn.
playing.
With the characters Harley Quinn, Suicide Squad, Will Smith's in it. He
What?
plays Deadshot. These are the guys that are in the comic books with like, you know, the Joker. It shows you how Harley Quinn as a doctor became Harley Quinn, the Joker. It's based on the Suicide Squad, which the synopsis basically is they're a squad that does these their boss is oh man, what's her name? The black lady. Viola. Oh man, what's her name? I can't remember her full name. But anyways, they're the squad that the government puts in to take on these missions that are just uncomparable. And if they don't get out alive, then all the government has to do is deniability, plausibility, and you don't worry about it. But the Suicide Squad, I just saw the preview today. Anything
Will
that's got
Smith
Harley
is-
Quinn in it and Will Smith's in it
Shoot.
just legitimized it for me. I gotta watch it and check it
Okay.
out. So
Well, I put something on my radar.
check out that preview. That shit is hot.
I definitely
So
will. Definitely will.
other than that, man. Oh, okay. So real quickly, man. One of the things we like to do on our show, we're gonna do, and the shows will be an hour long. We just run it a little bit long because this is our first debut one. We gotta do story time. So
Okay, so this week we're gonna talk about video games, right? We're gonna talk about story time related.
story time related to video games. So let's
Go
do
first.
it. All right. So
Each of us will give one story, right?
we'll each give one story that has to do with with video games?
Well, let me set it up right? Because all of us, before anything, Gamers Elite 7, we're gamers before anything, right?
Yes.
And I think it's only right that we give a story that kind of says, okay, what were some of the defining moments that made you a gamer? What were some of the experiences that you experienced that brought you closer to gaming, that brought you, because of gaming, brought you closer to somebody else? And that's what these stories kind of embody. And I'll go first with my story. It was back in the day. I don't know if anybody knows about this game anymore, but I used to play it on PC. And it was Command and Conquer. The first Command and Conquer.
Yes, I remember Command
where
and
they had
Conquer.
Telsa tires. They had those mammoth tanks. You had who was that girl that used to be able to send out? You had German Shepherds. You had Tanya's.
Oh yeah,
Come on, man.
yeah.
If you're a gamer, if you're a gamer,
I do remember Command and Conquer. I didn't play it that much, but I do.
You hear Telsa Towers,
but I do remember it. I do remember it.
Right now. So my story was I was playing with my best friend, and he taught me everything about the game, the inside out of the game. So we would go back, and for every 5 matches that I'd probably win, 2, and he'd win 3. You know what I mean? So he was a little bit better than me. So one game I actually had him whooped to the point where the only thing that he had left was a Tanya and a Telsa Tower. And I made an agreement with him because it was such a bad beating. I said, look, I'm going to just leave the game alone. And I'm going to go to sleep. And when I wake up, hopefully you did something.
Wow.
And I remember I left him. I mean, I had probably like 50 mammoth tanks. He had 1 Telsa Tower, 1 Tanya. And we had the crate setting set up. Remember how you keep the crates on? He went out and got a crate, got a mammoth tank. And from that one friggin' crate, that dude came back and beat me. When I woke up the next morning, we stopped playing at like 11 o'clock that night. I woke up 7 o'clock the next morning, he had beaten me.
Are you serious?
It was just a fun game, because it was a fun experience just because it was months of me playing that game before I was able to get really good. And then I was beating him. I thought I had his ass beat. And then with just a Telsa Tower at a time, he gets my whole army with German Shepherds and everything, he still beat me. So that was a pretty interesting story.
All right, well, listen, in about, let's see what we got here. In about 1 minute, I'll be right back because I have to use the potty, and then we'll talk about my experience. I have to go to the bathroom. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Hopefully they don't hear the effects of the bathroom. All right, man, I'm back, man. Sorry, had to take a little break there real quick. So I got 2 stories to give you. You know what? Okay, so let me tell you my one video game story and story time here. I'd say I was about 16, 17. You know, when you're young, you have that group of friends, 3 or 4, after school if you're lucky. You get to go over to your friend's house. You don't ever get to go home. You go over to your friend's house, eat, and all you do is play video games. So we're talking Nintendo 64, 1997, something around there. All right. And, we're playing this game, wrestling games. Everybody knows the wrestling games for Nintendo 64. NWO versus WCW, all these different games. Well, they're all made by this company named THQ, okay? Fucking THQ. So, when you play these wrestling games, all right, you hold the A button or you hold this button where you you do a grapple, all right? You grapple and you grab them. And then you press another button, and then that'll make you do a different move. Pile drive, slam, leg drop, whatever. But there was a glitch in the game. There was a serious glitch in the game where you could, instead of grappling once, it would do a double grapple. And it's like, it would just happen every once in a while. And it would always happen in the crucial moments of a Royal Rumble, of a game. And you just be like, I just got double grappled. Like, this bullshit. He just swam over. He just slid over and he did a double grapple and he grabbed me. And I couldn't counter it. So this happened for about maybe every day of the week, Monday through Friday. We go into my man's house, 6 of us, or, taking turns on 4 controllers playing Royal Rumble, man. And
That
one
Royal
day,
Rumble
man,
was the shit.
the Royal Rumble, 30-man Royal Rumble, couldn't beat it, man. Couldn't beat it.
Every 2 minutes,
Sting,
a new guy runs in, man.
Sting,
Come on,
Nash,
man.
Hollywood, Hulk Hogan.
Come on, man.
You know what I'm saying? Just all those players, man. So we even made up our own characters. We made Mike Tyson up in the game. You know what I'm saying? We made Mike Tyson and everything up in the game. So anyway, we were playing this Royal Rumble, and at the end, I wasn't doing that good. And so all of my friends and me, we got together. You know what? This game has a glitch, and this sucks. We actually sat there, and I free wrote on a piece of paper in print, wrote a letter to THQ. Dear THQ, we really, really love your game. We really, really love your products, but you have this glitch in this game where you do a double grapple, and it's really hurting our playing time. And basically, 6 people. I wrote a little bit of it, then somebody else wrote a little bit of it. We had like 2 pages. I was ready to mail it out. We looked up online their freaking office in California or somewhere. We were going to send this letter out, man. And at the last minute, my one man, we don't give out real names on here, but my one man goes, yo, dog, you know what? I don't think we should do it. I go, why? He's like, he actually got cold feet. Like, he didn't want to disappoint or get a video game company mad at us. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
So I ended up taking the letter, leaving it there on my man's couch, and like we never mailed the letter out. But in that moment, I was like, yo, we were just about to write to a video game company about how this glitch happens. Now, you don't even have to do that anymore. You can just go online, you can just Instagram, you can just go on their Twitter page, and you can just say, this sucks, that sucks, this sucks. Like, just like that, man.
Betas just to get that.
Just like that.
Yeah. And I like it now. Before, if you had a game and it was messed up, you were stuck with that messed up game. And games companies, were notorious for releasing games that weren't finished. Now, when a game gets released, it's not messed and it's messed up. Like Assassin's Creed, I don't think that Assassin's Creed has.
They're coming out with a movie of that later on next year.
Yeah, but I don't think they've had one good smooth release where the game works functionally the way it was. Like I remember I had Assassin's Creed Unity. That was the first one that I was excited about. And the big thing there was the lobbies were very sloppy,
shit.
and the other thing was that the subtitles and the voiceovers, they didn't line up with the mouth the character's mouth when they were talking. But the people complained about it and they fixed it. So I think that your story goes to show the changes that the video game community has made and the seriousness that they're taking from the feedback from the players that they're putting it out there. Because, like you said, now if there's an issue, back then what outlet did you have? You really had to send that letter, and hopefully that letter got into the right hands of the person.
That's true.
Now, as soon as something goes wrong, you have access to that company. You can embarrass them on social media if you have a big enough presence, or you can make other gamers aware of it. So I think that's that's an interesting story.
That's a good point.
And now it comes into play the fact that companies do take letters like that seriously. So that I like that story. It's fun.
All right, so that was story time, and now, as the show is coming to an end, we're gonna do something we like to do called shout outs, where we sit there and every week, with gamers that we play with, gamer tags that we play with that were cool, whether we were playing in a party chat or they were showing me support on a stream, or they're just really cool players. We like to call this the shout out zone. Shout out zone, we're going to give shout outs. Styles will give out a couple. I'll give out a couple to people that I play with or affected me, just their gamer tags, and just say, yo, thank you for making our gaming experience better. So
for me, I play predominantly on Xbox One. It's the only system that I really own. And the two shout outs I'm gonna give are Po Easy and Cookie Monster 357.
I know
Cookie-
Poeasy
Yeah,
from Halo
man,
5,
Cookie
baby.
Monster.
He be coming through in the clutch. Hopefully he watches this. At least you gotta have him watch
Oh hell
the
yeah!
ending of it.
Yeah,
He be coming through in a clutch. He's like a general. He comes in and he's like kind of saves the day with his sniper rifle and stuff.
Because
Man, it's awesome.
and the thing is, while it's important to give shout outs, is like, look, when it comes to gaming and when it comes to having fun, if you're gaming with somebody, like most of the people watching this should be gamers. Everybody knows you have the most fun when you're playing the game with somebody, because you want to when you do something amazing and someone else witnesses it. It just makes it that much more fun, especially when it's a cool maneuver. And with Po Easy, man, we go in on Halo. You know what I'm saying? And when he does something cool, I'm there to see it. He's there too, and we have each other's back. So it just makes the ranking. You rank up faster. You have more fun. So Po Easy, man, that's one of my shout outs on Xbox One. The other one is Cookie Monster 357. He was a dude. We were playing. I was playing. What was it? The driving game that I love so much, Forza 6, and he jumped on Forza 6. They just gave me some really good pointers that made me a better driver on the game, and I started ranking a little bit higher. So shout out to him for just taking the time out to just making me better at the game. And I see him all the time. He's on my friend list.
Cool.
So shout out to those two, Po Easy and Cookie Monster 357. Shout out.
Okay, cool,
What about
cool.
you, Shell Dog?
Well, I've got 3, I believe, but I've got 2 main ones. So one goes out to on Xbox One, Weaponized Sloth. This man right here, man, I met him on one of my streams like a couple months ago for that infamous Rainbow Six Siege game, which you can see me stream all day tomorrow, which I'll stream it all day tomorrow. But I played the test version of it, which was a version of the beta before the regular beta. And I had gotten on there one night. It's still the only time, and you witnessed it, the only time that I've gotten more than 100 viewers at one time watching one of my streams. He was on there that night, and he was like talking to me, and he was playing with me, and we played together, and we started playing this game together, and we actually were playing the game the right way. And so we built up a friendship on gaming, and then when I ended up getting the game for Xbox, he had gotten the game for Xbox, and so every time I play Rainbow Six Siege, we look for each other. We leave messages in our apps, because we know that we play good together and we play the game the right way. And he's always encouraging, and he's really good at Rainbow Six Siege, and I don't think he gets enough props. So big ups to Weaponized Sloth, being a cool dude. He's around our area pretty much, and he's always down for gaming. And he always likes to play the games the right way, which I'm not saying games have to be played the right way. A lot of times you play games to get away from fantasy, but for Rainbow Six Siege, if you play Rainbow Six Siege, if you want to be good, you can only play it the right way. Right. Communication all. And my second shout out is to Ian Adrien, who's a guy who follows me and who's also one of my friends on Xbox One from Switzerland. We just have a really, really good game session with me and Weaponized Sloth. Like last week, I streamed Rainbow Six all last week, basically. And every time us 3 get on, we just have a great time. And I'll never forget how cool you guys are, man, because he was talking about all the way from the, Mobb Deep. And he was like, yo, man, I listened to Mobb Deep, the first joint, the infamous and everything. I'm like, wait a minute, you listen to Mobb Deep? And so, like, on one of my streams, I just played, while I was on break for like 15, 20 minutes, I played a Mobb Deep, man. I had him listen to Mobb Deep while I was on break on my stream, and he loved it. And it was just cool because he watches my videos and he supports me. He went on YouTube, told me that the video I put up there the other day about Rainbow Six was good. So I just wanted to let him know if he's watching now or whatever. Like, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for the support. And that's my 2 shout-outs. I said I had 3. I don't have another one right now. At this moment, those are the 2 that I've really been playing with the whole time. But nonetheless, man, that's what it's all about, giving props and everything. So that's my shout-outs, and that's what we got for the shout-out zone. So I don't know when the next Streamcast episode is going to be. We'll see how well this is going to be received, regardless of whether it's received or not well. this is what we do, and this is how we have fun. So we're just gonna keep doing it. Don't matter how bad it can be, but it can only get better.
It's true. And just to finish it off, I mean, that's what it's about, people. It's about just doing what you want to do to have fun. We had pretty much the whole time we had 2 viewers of this. We posted something.
We had a high of 4 viewers, though. Hopefully, we challenge you guys next time to let your friends know. And if you like watching this, let them know what's up and tell them to tune into it. I'll keep you guys posted on our Instagram, elite_gamer7. That's our joint partner account, as you can see in the scrolling text right there. Also, Styles36 Styles is on Xbox One. I'm ShellDog77 on gamer tags for Xbox One, and on PS4 I'm ShellDog7, and on Wii U I'm ShellDog7. So there you go.
Yeah.
Hit us up, follow us, check our stuff out. If you like it, if there's something you don't like, shoot us a message, shoot us a text.
Something else you want to see.
Something else you want to see. Some other topics you want to talk about.
You know, movies, Jedi, anything. Just hit us up on the
We'll be looking on our Instagram, on our Twitch, and on our messages. You know, on Xbox One or PS4. If you followed us, if you guys want to talk about a topic or whatever, hit us up. Let us know. All right.
Hit us up.
So on that note, man, this has been an awesome experience. Nonetheless. Thank you guys for joining us, Styles, man.
Yeah.
My partner, man.
First show down.
I think we did pretty good, man.
First show down, man.
I can't wait to rewatch this episode again tonight. I can't wait. So on that note, you guys have yourselves a good night, and we'll be doing this every week. So follow us, or then follow us on Instagram, and we'll be having the times when we're going to be doing it. All right. So
peace.
Thank you for watching it.
Peace.
Good night. Peace. Do that for 2 seconds there. It says, thank you for watching the stream. Hope you enjoyed it. Come back and watch.